What's good, people? It's about that time to randomly relate, reverse rants, no hate. So, like I told you guys, I wasn't interested in the Dillian Whyte Jermaine Franklin fight, and that I might watch the replay, which I didn't. Um, I'm still just not, it was just not a fight I didn't feel. To be honest with you, most fights, when guys are fighting an up and comer, when guys are fighting someone, even if it's a journeyman, when a fighter starts, you know, I don't like arrogant people. I mean, you don't have to act anyway for me. It's your life. It's you. But I don't have to like people personalities and character. So my whole thing either as well. So I'm not sitting here making anything personal. But when people make stupid comments that hit home simply because we're dealing with real life situations when somebody is just speaking ignorantly, yeah, when I feel the need, I'll speak. Okay. Along with that, I just don't like when fighters say things like you're a nobody, nobody knows you, you haven't done anything, who have you beaten? You've beaten nobody. But then end up saying, I've been trying to fight you for the past 4 years. It's like, well, 4 years ago, that mean that person's resume was even less impressive, right? Than 4 years later. So why was you chasing the nobody, right? So it kills the whole, I don't need the build up, but you're letting me know this guy's not a serious threat, or you don't take him as a serious threat. Now, this was a fight where, honestly, after seeing what Tyson Fury did to Dillian Whyte, and then Tyson Fury says, Dillian will still beat a lot of other guys because he's strong. I look at Dillian like I've always said. Dillian, he's a guy who is like, he's good, but he suck at the same time. Just too many flaws. Footwork, his balance, his lack of keeping focus, like just certain things about him that just like, and you see it in every fight. And then but you got to understand he didn't have a long amateur career. No, dummy. We all understand that. That has nothing to do with the fact that the reality is we see these things. Okay, that for that to be an excuse of it. Look, simple. Dillian, again, let me say, has the second best resume in heavyweight boxing. But when I'm listening to Dillian talk, and he always has something to say about every fighter, man. Every fighter. But when he loses, it's an excuse as to why he lost. There's boxing, these things happen. But with other people, he has an opinion on everything. Their mannerisms, the way they fight, why they lost, how they lost. He laughs at people and all that. But then, okay, that's all good. But what's your excuse, right? So, and then just making dumb comments. So, Dylan's a person that I kind of got away from him. Like, just I outgrew watching him to the point where it's like, I don't even care to see Dylan fight anymore. Like, that's how I've been. Before he even made the dumb comments, it was just kind of like, there's fights out there. But after watching what Tyson Fury did to him, it was more than just Tyson Fury's, the whole Tyson's that good. Tyson just beat him with basic shit. I mean, at least, look, Beaver beat Canelo with basic boxing, but he was disciplined and stuck to the plan. Tyson Fury looked like he was bored in there. Like, it's like everything that they said about Dylan not being worthy, not being that good of a fight. Like, in that fight, could you look at Frank Warren and Tyson Fury at that point and say they were lying? So it's just like, okay. Here's the thing. I watched Jermaine Franklin. I didn't know who Jermaine Franklin was up until they announced, was it a year or two ago? They announced that he was supposed to be fighting Dillian Whyte, and that was supposed to be Dillian Whyte's USA debut. And that fight never happened, so I looked him up. I started watching some of his fights. Okay, he's short, a bit small compared to Dillian. He don't punch that hard. He doesn't have a lot of power. He has heart. His hands are kind of quick. You know, he's not as fast as Andy Ruiz, but he's built like Andy Ruiz, and he has that deceiving look. Like his hands is kind of quick, and he's determined. But he also lacks the experience of elite opponents. So this was a fight where Dillian was supposed to look good. He was in there trying to play with the guy. I watched the highlights. Now, he was trying to play with him, smiling, doing little silly shit. I see him using, the Foreman like defense, the Norton kind of look like defense, putting his arms up, using his arms to, um, his footwork, it looked a little bit better. It looked a little bit better. Just from the highlights I saw. And I can't judge a whole fight by highlights. Now, if the whole fight looked that same way, I don't know. But this was a fight that he was supposed to smoke Franklin just to keep busy. Easy win. Okay, now let's plan. Now, this is what I saw from the highlights. Honestly, from the highlights. I don't think the highlights was put together to make Jermaine Franklin look like he won. However they put it together, to be honest with you, based on them highlights, Jermaine Franklin was getting the better of Dillian. A lot of people were saying that Franklin got robbed. Now, I've read comments and people saying that most of Franklin's punches was bouncing off of Whyte's arms and his gloves. Okay, I didn't see the whole fight, but I seen him land some clean blows, and I saw they both was doing a similar thing in the sense that if Dillian would throw a combination, Franklin would respond with one. Franklin respond, Dillian would respond. It didn't look like a whitewash or nothing, but I'm gonna be honest with you. If you see them saying, if you saw the fight, then you saw the fight. And your opinion is your opinion. But from what I understand, they had Franklin outlanding Whyte like 160 something punches to like 140 or something like that. But either way, the fact that Whyte had won a majority decision over a guy that was meant to be a cherry pick, either the guy was better than what Whyte thought, or Whyte is just not as good as he once was. Because truthfully, I don't think anybody really thought that Jermaine Franklin was really going to go in there and do a good job against Whyte. Probably felt like he might have a couple of good rounds, and then in Whyte's experience that eventually he's going to knock the kid out. Didn't happen. And he showed a strong chin, from what I saw. And it was just the regular highlights that you see. Nothing, special. But it was like the highlights are good, maybe 12 to 15 minutes or something like that. But he was landing some shots. So I said everything I said earlier. Okay, for one, to let you guys know how I feel and how I stand with, just people saying the wrong things and all, and how, I just outgrown watching Dillian Whyte, but in my assessment of what I saw, it's not about whether I don't know them personally, but, it's not about whether I like you as a fighter or not. It's about what I saw happen. I can't really give a sound judgment on a whole fight based off of highlights. But in those highlights, Jermaine looked like he was getting the better of him. Now, I hear a lot of British people, British fighters, British fans saying, hey, look, man, I'm British, so I was pulling for Whyte, but Franklin won. One of the fighters, I forget his name, he was being interviewed, and they asked him, how did he see the fight? He said he had Franklin winning, what did he say, 10 rounds to 2 or 8 rounds to 4 or something like he had like did you see the first 10 rounds? He's like, man, he beat Whyte. But when there's so many people, and this is what I'm saying, it's British people that saying it, like Whyte lost. Now you have British people, of course, they're saying that they think Whyte won or he edged it out. But what people are saying, for the most part, is either Franklin won or call it a draw. but Dillian didn't win. That's what I'm hearing for the most part. Then I'm hearing a few people saying that they think Dillian won. All right. But the fact that he's having even a fight that close, you see what he said was they worked on some new things with Buddy McGirt. So he tried different things, and so then he talked about, I saw him in an interview, and he was saying when he fought Tyson Fury, he wasn't 100%, didn't have 100% training, good training camp, and see, all this other stuff. But if there would have been anybody else saying that this is boxing, you have to be ready. This is we train, what we get paid for. You have to be ready. No excuses, man. Look. The point is, he's not good enough to beat Tyson Fury. Simple. They can fight again. They can fight 100 more times. Tyson Fury will beat him every single time. I don't see anything. Dillian doesn't have the IQ to beat Tyson Fury. He doesn't know how to deal with his size and his reach. He just doesn't. So, Jermaine Franklin, to go in there and go the distance with one of the elite guys and basically even have a debatable fight against him, I do not know how positive that is for Jermaine, aside from gaining respect from people to say, hey man, we want to put him in some more good fights. Or if it's a thing of Dillian is just not what he used to be. You understand? So I don't know how positive it is for Jermaine Franklin. I mean, that's yet to be seen. But the fact that he was able to go in there and stand there with him, that does say something. The funny thing about this fight is, all of a sudden, I'm reading comments and hearing people saying, man, Anthony Joshua will smoke him in a rematch. Like that's not a fight that Dillian should take. So I'm like, wait. Everybody was slandering Anthony Joshua for losing to Usyk and saying he's washed up, he's done, he can't beat nobody. Now, all of a sudden, he'll destroy Dillian Whyte. So that tells me either people was just hating on Anthony Joshua and overlooking the fact that he fought a guy that's just a much better boxer, that he pretty much just simply fought the wrong strategy, but they just don't like Anthony Joshua, so they just, let's pounce on him, kick him while he's down. Or you guys over-exaggerated the fact that he lost. With his skills are not there no more, because he actually showed improvement in the rematch. The problem is he was still in boxing mode against a guy that he should be trying to knock out. And the fact for him to stand up here in his meltdown and say, I'm not a 12-round fighter, I'm 18 stones. Like I've said a million times already, which is why you should have been trying to knock Usyk out. But if he's worried about gassing out and all, you see the mental edge that he needs, he doesn't have. Because this is telling him, I'm not a 12-round fighter. I can't fight 12 rounds, I'm 18 stones. That's his biggest weakness, is that. So now all of a sudden, without Anthony Joshua doing anything, it must have meant his performance was way better than what you guys thought. You see Dillian Whyte in a position now where he's where Anthony Joshua was, even with the win. Because most people are saying, I did a little poll on the channel in the community section, and the majority of people, it's not by much, I think it was like 38% to 31%, saying that they think that that Franklin won. And I think only 2 votes, maybe 3, went to it could have went either way. And I don't remember the percentage of a draw. But right now, as of right now, Franklin has the numbers advantage and people feeling like he won. But overall, that's what I was hearing. I was bowling and playing pool. And my partner said, hey, Aries, that guy Dillian and Franklin is fighting, right? He's like, yeah, come check this out. And I was talking to a few people, and I was looking at some, video with footage, and yeah, the majority of the people, a big majority, was saying, Franklin won. And this is what I'm telling you, British people were saying it. So I'm like, okay, all right, whatever. But I'm just not interested in the fight. That's a fight that if Jermaine Franklin progress and start to like build his profile and really make a name for himself, I may go back just to look at where he came from to the progression. But whatever. Just not interested in that fight. Now, Dillian Whyte was saying some things, and I tell you guys this all the time. He was being interviewed. I forget the name of the channel. But anyway, the lady is asking Dillian Whyte questions. That he was being kind of a goofball. He was answering the questions, somewhat and whatever. But Dillian Whyte said his team cares about him. He trusts in what they say, you know, and they've always been there for him. They're not caring so much about the money, they care about his health. And he trusts that. He told them when they say that it's over, like be honest with them, then it's over. Right? You remember all this stuff he was talking about everybody else and how he just want to fight. He don't care about styles. He don't care about all this switching up in boxing. He come to the fight, maximum violence and all this shit, right? Now, he had people telling him. I remember when I said it a couple of years ago, and his fanboys, oh man, well man, Dillian come to fight, that's why I respect him. All that boxing and moving and shit, and I'm like, yeah, you're a dumbass. If you was his trainer, you get him killed. If you was a fighter yourself, you'd get killed because you don't know shit. You don't even have common sense. Fuck, you don't know shit about boxing. You don't even have common sense. Buddy McGirt and different people told him, Dillian, you got to change what you're doing. Your original style that you're doing, people gonna get on. They go, you're gonna get knocked out again, right? So they had to get stern with him and let him know, like, yo, you are not going to progress with what you're doing. Now, with what I saw of him, I still see a lot of fighters that I think would beat Dillian, even with what they see as progression. I wasn't impressed, but again, I saw like a 15-minute highlight, But listen, y'all. Now he's saying, I had to change some things and try some new things because it's about my health and oh now you want to talk with some common sense about your health now. Not now when Anthony Joshua was adapting to jabbing and moving, fighting on the back foot, all of a sudden you started calling him scared. You don't want him to settle down and fight, all this other stuff, and basically now he's saying, he don't want to go in there and he can't afford to lose another fight. And his team is telling him the same thing. And this is exactly why they chose Franklin. Then this came out from an interview from last night after the fight. This is what he said. Okay, that he can't afford another loss. His team was telling him, man, you lose again, man. It's like we can't afford that. So yeah. Now, when I tell you Jermaine Franklin was a cherry pick that ended up being tougher than he thought, that's exactly what you got. A cherry pick. And Jermaine Franklin was bringing it. Now, I'm not going to harp on the decision who won, whatever. I already expressed what people were saying and whatever. It doesn't matter because, Whyte got the win. But for Dillian Whyte, I told you guys before, out of all of the elite guys, it's going to end up, Hearn already said it after the loss to Usyk, the second loss to Usyk, that they were trying to have AJ with some more. See, the thing is, AJ don't want to do tune-ups. I salute him for it. But at the same time, if you're not going to be different, if you're not going to be better than just to say, I took the fights, people are not going to honor that. They can salute you and all that, but it's going to be forgotten. All they're going to remember is what your records say, what your win-loss column say. It's not going to be a little sticky note attached to it, letting everybody know, yeah, but AJ could have went and fought anybody, a lesser fighter, but he chose to get back in with the top guy. I felt like this. You don't hear any talk from Wilder's side and his people about fighting AJ. You just keep hearing Wilder saying he wants to fight him in Africa and just saying things, but no negotiations, nobody sent any term sheets and contracts out. Nobody had to sit down, a Zoom meeting, nothing, right? So that being said, Dillian and AJ already in the UK. Okay. I think that would be a much easier fight to make. Now, Dillian said they have a history, which is true. He beat Anthony Joshua in the amateurs. AJ beat him in the pros. But at the same time, you know, this amateur fight stuff is like, back in the day, like when Hearns and Pryor fought, they wasn't wearing headgears at all. No headgear. They just was in it going. The only thing they had on was like little tank tops. But that's it. That's the only thing different. Other than that, they were in there fighting with no headgear. And of course, it's less rounds in the amateurs. But just the whole point of, okay, you can throw that victory in if you want. Doesn't change anything. But yeah, so they have a history. So now this will be like, I don't see how you can consider this a tiebreaker, yes and no. The amateurs don't count. Your amateur fights are not on your pro record. But so basically they're both at a crossroads. Both of them. So Anthony Joshua, even though his shine is not like it was, he's still a big draw. He's still a much more popular guy than Dillian Whyte is. So he said he'd rather fight Anthony Joshua than Joe Joyce. He said Joe Joyce is slow and Joe Joyce is boring. Well, even if you feel that way, I believe that Joe Joyce will beat the living shit out of Dillian Whyte with no problem. You will see maximum violence and you will see maximum damage. Only it won't be Dillian doing it. It'll be Joe Joyce doing it to Dillian. So he said he'd rather have the AJ fight. But now he wants to give AJ some props when they're bringing up him fighting AJ versus him fighting Joe Joyce or other, up and coming guys. I think Daniel Dubois will knock Dillian Whyte out. I think Jared Anderson right now, Jared Anderson would knock him out. Now, I don't have to see the whole fight to understand the style and what I saw him doing, his approach to the fight. I think Efe Ajabo would knock him out. I think Andy Ruiz beats him. This is real shit. My stance is still the same with him and Deontay, because I'm going to tell you something about Deontay. When I watched him fight Helenius, the fight ended quick. But you know what I saw? If you look at Deontay's legs in that fight, his legs don't look steady. He was throwing some old wild looking, same old Deontay. He just managed to land that right hand. I still feel the same way with him and Deontay. If he can avoid just getting hit with unnecessary shit. And same for Deontay. If you go back and just watch that fight, look at Deontay's legs, how they just don't look steady, and how he was still throwing them stiff, wild, Frankenstein-looking punches. And I'm like, okay. Just watch. It's brief, but just watch. And you'll see. It's like, yeah, same with Deontay. And, he did the same thing Dillian did. He's in the same fucking boat. Deontay's in the same boat as well. They're just trying to build him up to make it look like he's never went anywhere. No, you lost 2 in a row by knockout, by TKO, and then you fought a journeyman. You won. That doesn't put you back in the saddle. It was just that, yeah, y'all pulled some strings. You end up in a title eliminator after losing, but you get in there with a journeyman, so you win. So you're in a good position in that sense because you have another big fight on the table, if and whenever you're ready to take it, which it should be Andy Ruiz. Or at least Joe Joyce if you don't want to fight Ruiz. But in terms of them fighting each other, I still feel the same. They both can land a shot and get the other out of there. I'm still not sold on this. Like Deontay still is the same fucking fighter that he always was. He's the same fucking fighter. He's not different. Dillian Whyte didn't impress at all. When I saw what I saw, I'm just like, nah. Look, what's next for him, I do not know, but I strongly believe they're going to try to put him and AJ together. AJ doesn't want a tune-up. So, basically, there's some history there. Dillian is less dangerous than Joe Joyce and Dubois, in my opinion. If Anthony Joshua don't want tune-ups, he should strategically pick apart the elite guys that's there. Right? What I'm saying, because he's gaining experience as he's fighting. Right? Should be. He's fought Dillian. He's familiar with Dillian. Okay? Let's say they're familiar with each other. Neither one of them have a strong ring IQ. But I still think AJ is better than Dillian. I always felt he was better than Dillian. When he beat him, and then even afterwards, I just felt, even though they both have improved since they fought each other, Dillian just always, it just felt like it's just a matter of time with Dillian. That's just how I always felt with him, like before somebody starts him, because he just makes too many careless mistakes. We know what happened with Anthony Joshua. So, bottom line is, if AJ, which I think he'll beat Dillian, if AJ does take that fight and beat him, what's next for him? I don't see, beating Dillian is not going to prepare him for a rematch with Usyk. Not saying that that's next, but I'm saying, so after that, Wilder. Knock out Wilder. And, then what's next? I think AJ has a better chance of beating Fury than Usyk. I just think Usyk's style, AJ just can't adjust. He can't adapt. Fury is a bigger, slower target. Fury doesn't fight the way he used to. See, people don't understand. Everybody always says, well, styles make fights, which is why, what I'm telling you, I think he has an easier time trying to beat Fury. The mindset that we last saw him in, of course, no, we don't think that AJ will win. Maybe AJ's no longer in that mindset. Who knows? I don't know. But at least if he knocks out Dillian, then knocks out Wilder, okay, that at least puts the excitement back into seeing him fight Fury. And, we don't know how things are going to go. That's just me saying that will be logical to me. So it'd be the two guys that Eddie said, just minus the two tune-up fights that they wanted for Anthony Joshua. AJ just don't want the tune-ups. Now, if that works against him, that's yet to be seen. If it helps him, we'll see. But anyway, just my thing with Dillian Whyte is, after seeing that, like I said, I just see several guys that I think would be Dillian. And even before he made the asshole comment, I was saying the same thing. Like, I'm just not impressed with Dillian. Even when he lost to Povetkin, just his punch selection, the way he thinks is what I'm saying. And just things that, shit happens in boxing, we know that. But you guys realize every time Dillian lost, it was by one punch, and the same punch, an uppercut. Jermaine Franklin, he didn't land or throw too many uppercuts. But either way, it's it's not like I saw a vast improvement. I just saw him, as far as his movement, it looked a little different. I didn't see no big improvement in his footwork. He just looked a little bit more steady than what I'm used to seeing him doing, simply because they had him. Only thing they had him doing was moving around more versus just trying to stand and bang. He was trying to mix it up more. It wasn't footwork. Let me correct that. It wasn't footwork. It was just him not standing there and making it a one-dimensional fight. He was trying not to. That's what I'm saying. But I didn't see, not his footwork. Just I wasn't impressed with what I saw. But going forward, I feel like it'll be him and AJ next, and only time will tell. Talk to me in the comment section. Never fall in love with lies. Remember, the truth brings hate out of people, and I will catch y'all on the next video.